welcome to the Your Life Unfiltered podcast with your hosts, Kituka Thari and Deepam Jain. In this podcast, we dig deep into the life experiences of our guests to connect the dots between their experiences growing up as well as what they're doing today. Today, we have special guest Vinay Chadha from season 1 of Indian Matchmaking. Vinay, if you want to quickly introduce yourself for everyone.
Sure. My name is Vinay Chadha, as Ketil said, from season 1 of Indian Matchmaking. I'm very happy to be here. Happy to share my experiences and anything that you guys want to know. So dish it out,
Absolutely.
and I'm ready to give it to you.
So Vinay, if you don't mind going a little bit back, just share a little bit about where did you grow up, what kind of environment did you grow up in, some early motivations, and connect with what you're doing today. That would be great.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Fairfield, Connecticut, and I grew up as a very, a very suburban kid, and I wasn't around very much diversity or culture at all. So for me, fitting in was always like the most important thing when I was younger. And I think that kind of spread through college as well. And then it was kind of more in college where I kind of started to diversify my own opinions and kind of like take accountability for my own self. And that's where I started coming up with my own views on life. And I'm very progressive in my own views too. And that's exactly where I ended up making a lot of different types of friends as well. And that's also where I found my love and passion for fitness, which is what I do today. I work in the fitness industry. Of course, I work on the finance and accounting side because I'm still Indian, right? So I gotta work in engineering, doctor, or finance. But I'm kind of like combining like my passion and what my skill set is right now. So I'm pretty happy about where I am right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so I'm gonna take it you're pretty good with numbers.
I bet you I'm pretty average for an Indian, but like I'm pretty good, I
guess. Awesome. And you mentioned this in the show as well, that you grew up in a kind of Guyanese environment. Sorry, I'm not sure exactly how to put it, but your parents had moved to that, or some generation, and then you moved to the US. I'm guessing there's a lot of transition happened during your early childhood, probably that
I
also.
was actually born and raised here. Like my parents immigrated before I was born, and like they ended up moving to Connecticut. It's just like so rare, right? Like you're from New Jersey, and like I think if my parents had gone to New Jersey, my childhood would have been so different because there's a lot of diversity there. It's just like you fly into New York and you go one way to Connecticut or down to Jersey, and like my parents chose to go to Connecticut because like my Mama G, he had a job in Connecticut and he was the one hosting them, so like that's how my whole family ended up in Connecticut.
Oh, okay, wow. Well, here's a controversial topic, but people say Connecticut has the best pizza. So what are your thoughts on that being in New York?
Well, I will say that New Haven, Connecticut is technically the first pizza in the U.S. was there, and they do have a couple places that are really good. Like shout out to Pepe's Pizza, but nothing beats New York pizza. Like I said, I'm a New Yorker now, so 17 years will change you. Like,
awesome. So and you again, I was going through your profile on Instagram as well as LinkedIn. You actually an advocate for veganism as well, right? So just do you want to share a little bit about how did you get into that veganism journey? What was some of the challenges that you face and how you can overcome those for listeners who are trying to go through some same journey as well?
Honestly, like there's like I've said this before, I said this on the show too, like there is no like rhyme or reason why I decided to do it except out of curiosity. And like my biggest thing was like I just saw a lot of, I'm a big sports fan too, so I saw a lot of NBA players switching to veganism, and like they just kept saying like they had more energy, they were like getting leaner, they were faster, and like they felt better overall. And I wanted to call BS on that, and I was like, all right, the only way I'll know is if I try it myself. So in May of 2018, I think it was like my boss's birthday at the time, and we had By Chloe, which is like a vegan restaurant in New York, and it was like phenomenal. And then I was just like, I could do this, and I was like, I'm gonna just try it for a month and see how I feel. And then after a month, I didn't think I felt any different, and I went back to eating everything else. And then I felt really congested that next week and not so great. And then I went back to eating just vegan the following week, and I noticed I felt better again. And so I actually did think it worked, and because of that, then since basically May of 2018, I've been vegan now.
Oh wow, that's
and I went
fascinating.
From eating everything in the world to vegan. Like I even ate beef, I ate meat, I ate cheese. I was eating everything, and to be honest, like it's good for me because I am a binge eater, and I eat at night, and like I just once I start, I can't stop. So to have limitations is like a really good, helpful tool for me.
Okay, wow, yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah, that's definitely a big difference then, because you went from eating everything to veganism, and you
Yeah,
also maintained
That's a
it for a
huge.
couple of years, so that's amazing.
yeah, it's been for a little over 4 years now.
Okay, wow.
Awesome, awesome. And I'm sure things have changed a lot when it comes to vegan products, right? The availability. What's your experience been like? I know you're
Yeah,
living in New York, but
I mean, luckily I live in New York City, which is like I guess I maybe second only to like LA. It's like vegan heaven. It's like it's way too many possibilities, and so many things keep opening up, and like that's kind of the reason why I
Mhm.
never planned to do this my whole life, and I still don't plan to do it my whole life. But all these restaurants and all these different types of vegan foods keep coming out, so I'm just like, all right, I want to experience all these things. Like I have a whole list of things I want to try, a whole list of restaurants I want to go to, and that's what I was like. I was like, all right, I want to still do this while I'm still vegan, so I'm gonna do this, and then I'll end up eventually going back to some sort of like meat eating thing. Like I think eventually I'll go back to maybe like I think being dairy free is actually what makes me feel the best. To be honest, I think that
Mhm.
I noticed that I don't get allergies anymore. I don't get congested anymore. So I think eventually I'll go back to like maybe like a pescatarian and chicken eating. But for now, I just want to. It's been really easy in New York. When I travel, it's pretty hard. But like, what's something good if there's not a little bit of struggle in there?
That makes a lot of sense. What's been your favorite vegan restaurant so far,
Oh
and where
man.
was it?
Um, for like vegan fast food, there's like a place called like Plant Burger, and that's pretty phenomenal because they have like milkshakes and like fries and burgers and stuff like that.
Okay.
Planta Queen it's like is an Asian one, and I really like that because it's very vegetable forward. And there's like this whole hospitality group called like Overthrow Hospitality, and they have a
Mhm.
bunch of different restaurants in the East Village, and they keep opening up with new ones. Like now they just opened up a new one called the Rabbit. And it's like raw food, but like every single one of their restaurants, I've gone there to all different ones. Like every year, my birthday too, have been phenomenal. So like there's like a never ending list in New York for that. But Overthrow Hospitality, I will say, they have the best combination of like food and drinks for vegans.
Got it. And what
Okay.
a cool name as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So for me personally, I've never been to Planta Queen, but I went to Planta in Miami, and let me tell you, that was
Same thing. Yeah,
the best food I ever ate for like
yeah.
vegan food. I was like, wow. I just like I couldn't stop eating it. It's like at the end of the day, I was shocked at the bill because of how much we ended up eating there.
I know. Like I actually just went this past Sunday, and I went with all non-vegans, and like it was like my idea. Like we do like Sunday dinners with a group of friends of mine, and they were very skeptical about it, and they were like, "I don't want to eat vegan food." They were very much against it, and in my mind, it was like my job to like prove to them that it was good, and they all loved it. So I was pretty nervous going into it, but it worked out in my favor.
Yeah.
That's
Um.
awesome. So my favorite one has been, and if you're ever in Amsterdam, is they have this restaurant called the Vegan Junk Food Bar. So
Oh,
it's
that sounds
junk
amazing.
food. So
So
they
is it
have
filled with
all
any other special ingredients or?
it's all vegan. It's all vegan ingredients. But it was if you're craving junk food like really bad, I definitely recommend that restaurant.
Yeah,
I think they have a couple of branches in Amsterdam, but I highly recommend it. Sorry,
nice.
Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah. So I was gonna say I wanted to switch gears for a minute and now talk a little bit about the show. Like,
Sure.
it's I believe season one came out in what 2020. Is that right? 2020.
July 2020, yeah.
Yeah. So like, well, what I wanted to learn is like, how did that process happen? Like, how did you get involved with the show? Did you reach out? Did they reach out to you? How did that process look like for you?
Yeah, it all started in like September 2018, really. Like I
Oh,
was at work just like any normal day, and then my friend just sent me like and like I was on a group text, and my friend Bijal sent me like this text, and she saw this ad on Instagram that said, like Netflix show looking for South Asian singles, ages, I don't remember what the ages were. It was probably like 21 to like 40 or something crazy like that, and like to be on some sort of dating show. And she's like, "Oh, Vin, you should apply for this." And then I clicked the link and I saw the application, and it was literally like four or five questions. Like, it was something very easy that I just did it in 10 minutes at my desk. And they're like, "You need to add a picture too." So I just went over to like Instagram, pulled like my profile picture, added it to it, and faxed it in. I thought nothing of it. And then a couple of weeks later, they ended up just like reaching out to me via email and be like, "Oh, like we liked your answers. We want to do like a Skype interview with you." And then they told me that it was going to be like some sort of dating show, and like they were just asking me all these different questions. That it was all with Netflix producers too. And then like I thought that went really well. I thought we vibed really well, and we had a great conversation. And then I never heard from them for months, and I was like, all right, I guess like in my mind, Netflix shows like a dime a dozen, or like an idea is like a dime a dozen, because there's thousands, right? Like there's probably like ones we never even heard of too. So like every couple of months I would just reach out and be like, hey, like haven't heard back. Is anything going on? And like just out of curiosity. And they're like, oh yeah, like it's still in the works. And I'm just like, all right, this thing is fake, right? And then in April 2019, they contacted me again. They're like, hey, like we got approved for it, and like, are you still interested in being on it? Are you still single? And I was like, yes, I'm still single. And then like they were like, all right, so like we want to like interview you and like and some of your family. And then I wasn't really comfortable with like my family being on it, just because like it's not their choice to be on it or not, and it was more my choice. So in my mind, I was just like, I'd rather not do my family. And then so like I put the premise of the show, and they're like, it's going to be like a matchmaking show. They actually called it the Indian Matchmaking Project at this point now. So they said there's going to be main characters, and there's going to be like dates, and they're like, if you don't like do like the whole full on family interviews and everything, all you could be is a date. And I was just like, yeah, that's fine by me. Like I also still this time I'm very skeptical. I don't think anything's going to make of this. So I do that another interview. They were like, yeah, we want you to move forward. They make you take this like psychology test with a psychiatrist on Zoom, which is like a 2.5 hour, 500 question, basically to see if you're like sane, basically.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
It was like a really long. I just remember sitting on a Saturday and being like, this better. Like I can't believe I'm wasting my Saturday afternoon taking a test.
Well, now you can say you're certified sane, right? You
Right?
got something out of it. It's like if anyone says like you're delusional, I was like, no, I approve. I'm not.
Well, what's ironic is like I guess I must have like missed a bubble or something, because like after like I talked to psychiatrists too, and then once I submitted the answers, like he's just like, these answers don't line up with the person I talked to at all. And he's like, I think you messed up somewhere along the lines, and you filled in like one question above or below. And he's like, your results are coming out unstable. And he's like, you're not unstable, so like I'm gonna make you retake the test. So I had to retake it again.
Wow.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
500 questions. That's
500 questions. Yeah.
Wow.
But then then they basically was just like, I never actually met Simanti in person. They made me do like a FaceTime with her once, and it was like they were already filming stuff then, because now in retrospect I realized that they were filming a part of it at the time, because they're like, oh yeah, we're in Houston, we're filming a lot, but like we want you to talk to Simanti to see what your criteria is and stuff, which my criteria was none, because I think it's a stupid thing to have, especially when you don't know someone. And when I FaceTime with her, they're like, oh, can you speak in Hindi to her? And I was like, I don't even speak Hindi. I was like, no, I can't speak Hindi. And then like, no, don't worry, we'll have someone sitting there too. So I didn't think she spoke English at all. I thought she had a translator until I saw the show. I was just like, oh, this woman speaks English.
Wow.
So like, contrary to popular belief, I was not one of her clients paying a retainer of like $5,000 to have a matchmaker. I was found via social media and Netflix.
Okay. Wow. Interesting.
That's a very unique journey, as you
Right?
said. There's a lot of ups and downs along the way.
Yeah.
But you finally made it, so that sounds like a
and so that was now like, this is like now April, May 20. This is like end of spring 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so then there was actually also a year gap between when the filming ended and the show was actually released. That's what it sounds
So
like, right?
I actually dated Nadia for like 2.5 months, and we dated from May until July of 2020. I mean 2019.
Okay, oh wow. So yeah, so all the footage that was shown, it was from a year prior.
Exactly. So like, it was almost exactly a year to the date from the day we broke up, to be honest.
Oh wow.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's a great.
And I was just like, I can't believe I had to relive this. And I was like, she's not, and like, I have to talk about this as like my most recent ex. And at the time I had like even more recent ex that I was like getting over at the time. So it was like, I also still didn't think the show was real. Like, like we filmed, I only filmed one time on camera though. Like I only filmed that first date, and then they gave us GoPros. So like all of our dates, they made us like bring out GoPros. We would record things on our dates, and then we would do our own like separate confessionals on GoPros. So a lot of what you
Right.
saw in like there when I was like talking in my apartment, that's all of those on my GoPro.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
But that's
Okay.
why editing can be very tricky.
Well,
Right. That makes sense.
that actually makes sense because I did notice like when I watched the show the first time, it's like the video quality was different between like the first time and then all the other stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of it afterwards seemed like almost like a 4K video on like a cell phone or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and also I think there wasn't. Yeah, you're right, Ketul. There wasn't a lot of footage from the high definition camera, especially for Vinay in the
Yeah.
beginning, and I think there was some of it using the. So that makes a lot of sense now.
Right. That's why it was like
Explains
when people asked me like, "Oh, what's it like to be on camera?" I was like, honestly, it was just that first date, and like that was kind of annoying because like the setup of it was just annoying. Like the date itself was awesome. Like that everything you saw on there, that was like very genuine and very real. And like at the time, I was just like, wow, what a crazy situation is. Like if this ends up working out, how crazy it is. Like that we met through like a show.
Everyone would know your origin story, so
Yeah,
like,
right?
that concept would be very, very interesting.
Yeah. What's really funny about that first date too is like they took us to Montclair, New Jersey, which I was really annoyed about because I was really pushing for like I knew she was from New Jersey, and they were like, we need you to film there. And I was like, why can't we film in New York? I was like, what's the problem with that? And I was like, fine. And I was like, if it's gonna be Jersey, like at least make it close to Manhattan, like Jersey City, because she actually even filmed other dates in Jersey City. But then they made me go to Montclair, and I was really annoyed about it because like it wasn't that like I guess for rush hour it took a while to get there. And then they took us to a Brazilian steakhouse, and then when I got there, I was like, I'm vegan. And I was like, what am I supposed to eat here? So like if you notice like on the show, like what they gave me, it was like they just kind of like made up like a vegetable platter of that wasn't even on the menu.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that is really interesting.
Awesome. So Vinay, obviously there's a lot being said about what was on the show and what was the real stories. What's your experience been in the difference between what was shown on the TV versus how it kind of happened in the real life?
I mean, what I will say is like we definitely had ups and downs in our relationship, and like there are definitely times where I was right and I was wrong, right? Like I'm not going to try to be like flip the script and be like everything she said is a lie, everything she said was wrong. Like there were definitely times where we had fights and she lost trust in me. So when you saw the point where I was like giving her those like cookies and then a teddy bear, what really happened was like that fight wasn't even on air. Like that was something separate. And the cookies I sent her was more so because I could felt like she was like losing confidence in the faith that I was like really into her, and I think that it stems from something in her past, and I could tell that she was kind of like losing the confidence, and I wanted to reassure her that I was someone that cared about her. Just you have conflicts. We were supposed to hang out one night after her friend's wedding at like 1 a.m. and that's what really happened, and I just wasn't available to make it because I had a family emergency, and I could feel like she just wasn't believing me, and I just didn't understand why. And it was like, well, maybe she's had past experiences, and like, I try to like put myself in someone else's shoes all the time and be like, where are they coming from? Why do they feel this way? So what I actually sent her was like I sent her like Nestle Bunch of Crunch because like on our first date, we went to the movies and she tried to get Bunch of Crunch and like it was really stale and it's like her favorite candy, so she was like kind of upset that like. I mean, she wasn't showing it. She was trying not to show it, but you could tell that she was like upset that she didn't. So I ordered like this like massive bag of like a Bunch of Crunch, so she could always bring it to movies, so she would never have to go hungry at the movies and always have her favorite snack. But like that whole time where the second time we went to the movies and she said that I never texted her and stuff like that, like that's completely not true. Like they ended up showing that when I said that I had like the heat exhaustion. What they didn't show is like they made it seem like that was the next day when in actuality that was the same day. Like I told her that morning beforehand, and like like I have like proof of all this, and like it took everything in me to not post that. And like to this day I go back and forth, be like, should I expose this? Should I not expose this? And honestly, like last week I was really close to doing it again, and like luckily my cousins took me off. They took me off the cliff. And I'm not going to say that I never will, because like I'm not going to predict the future and how I'm going to act or how I'll feel and what circumstances will lie. But I'm always just trying to take the higher road there, because I know that the effect of what that will cause on her, and because of the effect that the bullying that I experienced on myself. Like I got death threats. I got ridiculed. Like it took a mental toll on me like no other. Like I've never experienced before in my life. And like, you know, people try to be like, you know, people who know who you. I'm a really sensitive person, and like, it comes with good and bad. And because I'm so sensitive, like when people say those nasty things to me, it goes to my heart. Like I feel it, and I'll hurt. And like I love that about me, like being sensitive, and because of that, I'm gonna feel like the effects of it. And like I just never want anyone to have that. And like all I wanted her to say was be like, exactly what she did a week ago when she said there's a difference between reality and reality TV. Of course, she says it now because she got a bad edit in season 2, but we can go to that later on. But and then that whole date that we had with her friends, that really upset me a lot because that never existed. I didn't even know about that date. The first time I found out about that date was when I watched it on the show. They asked me in August after we broke up, and so after that whole movie thing is when I had the heat exhaustion. I tried to meet up with her. She wanted nothing to do with me, so I was just like, all right, like, I get it. Like she doesn't like. I tried to reach out a bunch of times. I wouldn't call it ghosting because I'm just like she's done with this. Like whatever happened, like this relationship is now over. And like it took a toll on me. Like I was really into her. And it takes a lot for me to fall for someone, and when I fall hard. So like I fell really hard. So getting over her was really tough for me. And then in August they reached out to me again. They were like, hey, we want you to film you and Nadia again. And I was like, why? Did she have a change of heart? And they're like, no, we want to film your breakup. And I was like, what do you mean? We've already broken up. And then I said no to that. And in retrospect, it probably would have been a good idea for me to film because then I at least could have said something. And like kind of how in season 2, how, the way that Vishal did it, like he broke up with her on camera and he came off looking well better. But instead, because I didn't film with them again, and they just made it look like I just never showed up again and ghosted her twice. So that whole, you know, damsel in distress edit that she got, that it kind of helped in that sense with that. And then I mean, to this day, I'm still bitter about that. And even like those friends that were there, I'm bitter towards them too, because like, they're complicit in, you know, like trying to create a false narrative.
Okay, that's interesting. And actually, I saw one of your posts on your profile that made me laugh, and that was a Halloween post. So you put, contrary to popular belief, I only ghost on Halloween. I thought that was pretty funny. That was clever.
Yeah. That was it was an easy Halloween costume, basically. I just took a sticker and put it in a
exactly.
t-shirt.
Exactly, yeah. That was funny. That was pretty good.
Trying to make lemonade out of lemons, right?
By the way, that's probably making the cover art for this episode. Just give you a heads up. We're gonna put that.
By me.
Just because I thought that was clever.
Yeah. And the other thing, it's probably, again, the shows are trying to kind of create a storyline and trying to insert drama where it doesn't exist. So I think it's probably
and I totally get that, and I get that that's how reality TV works. But I just really wish that she would have come out and been like, no matter what happens, I believe what I believe. People can believe, like, you should not bully people on social media. Like, there should have been some. I wish she had made a statement about that. Because I like even reached out to her and told her what a toll it was taking on me. Got no response. Even this time when it happened to her, I reached out to her a couple of weeks ago and I said, I'm probably the last person you expect to hear from. I know that you must be going through a lot. And I was like, if you need someone to talk to or someone to connect you to someone else, like I'm happy to do that for you because I know what it feels like to be bullied. And I don't think any person deserves that. I mean, I didn't get a response, but I'm happy I did reach out because you never know what people will do in those times. Like I was in a really bad place and like I was really like just so out of it, and like I lost control of like my mindset, my emotions, my everyday life out, and it just weighed on me so hard, and I fell into like a really deep depression after that.
Wow. So Vinay, again, you don't have to share if you don't want to, but just curious because how did you cope up with it? What was your coping strategy when it comes to when you were receiving a lot of bullying?
Like I was like people would just be like, if you're not lying, then show the text. And I was like, I saw like I said, I really wanted to, but then that's the repercussions of that would be like, then she gets bullied, and I can't be responsible for somebody else. That I think that would hurt me more. And like I say that today again, and like who knows what I'll think tomorrow, right? Because like something else may happen that makes me want to do that or something. But the coping was just trying to take the higher road and being like, the truth will set you free. Like karma will take care of itself. Like, like just take the high road. And like taking the high road is so hard because you just got to like stay to who you are. And like what really, like, even to this day, people will still talk to me about it, and they're like, "Oh, you're the douchebag, you're the ghoster."
Damn.
And I was like, just get, like, all I wish is that they gave me a kind of a redemption story and like a chance to just get to know me as a person. I was like, if you talk to me, if you get to know me, like, you're not going to think these things of me. And even if you do, what's the worst that even if that was true, what's the worst that I did? It was just that I didn't show up to something. Like, does that make me an evil person, even if that was true?
Mm-hmm.
And like, the answer is no, obviously. And I just hate that I have to like defend myself 2 years later still, and it's like impeded on like potential relationships too, because like I can't use dating apps anymore because like, I mean, like, my type is Indian girls, so like if I go on it, people are like, either they're saying like, "Aren't you the guy that ghosted?" Like, prove to me that you didn't ghost. And I was like, all right, so this is how we're starting our first conversation. Or I'll get people being like, "Is this really you?" And then they're like, "Tell me what really happened." And I was like, how many times am I going to relive this story?
Dude, you should just get like a recording and just send it, like an audio file. It does all the work for you. Oh, you know what?
Well, you know, I made a
podcast.
post, right? And
Send
I made
it
a
to this
post that
podcast.
explained everything. So I'm just like, just go read my post. I was like, it's pinned to my Instagram now. Just go read it, and you'll know exactly what happened. I own up to everything I did, and I just speak the truth.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, now you have
And, like,
one other option. You have this
Yeah.
podcast episode.
Yeah, true.
And shout out to Netflix if they're listening. They should invite you to share your side of the story.
I know, like, I like even to this day, people are like, "Would you ever do it again?" And I was like, "Yes," because like I want that redemption story. Like, I want to be heard. Like, I think that I have a voice, and I think that I have good messaging for people. And like, I want to be empowering to everybody else for like to be themselves. Like, you know, like, I have like this fitness journey, this mental health journey, and like I just like have this so much love for like humanity and people, and I just want to share that. And like, it's just sad that I don't get to do that. And I was on a platform, and I basically just almost like had that taken away from me.
Okay. Wow. Wow. Yeah, it's really interesting because of the disconnect between how everything was portrayed on TV versus the actual reality of the situation, right? So it's
Right.
like, I think you said it really well. There was a false narrative that was propagated because of the way everything was framed on TV. So that's
Right.
very, very interesting. I think a lot of people inherently know that, but they forget that while they're watching.
Of course. And like, even when I watch other shows, like, you know, like, I fall into it too. Like, I remember watching like Love Is Blind and watching the Indian couple on there, and like seeing how, like, you know, like seeing what's his name. I think his name was like Abhishek, and then he had like a really bad edit, and like he kind of just like leaned into the villain more. And I think he had his own side too. I think he just kind of leaned into the villain more. Like, that's something that like all my friends like tried to tell me to do, and I was like, I can't lean into something that I never did, and be someone I'm not really. So there's a lot of ways you can handle it. That just doesn't work for me though.
Okay.
Got it. So Vinay, let's actually switch gears. Let's actually talk about who is Vinay outside of people know you from, like Indian Matchmaking, right? So could you tell us a little bit more about what you do for your work outside of, your hobbies and things like that? Like,
Sure.
how do you spend your
Honestly,
time?
like, for work, I work in accounting and finance, but like I said, I work for like a startup fitness company. I'm a controller there. Like, contrary to what they said in the gym, in the show, it's like CFO of many gyms. I was like, I don't think I ever said that. I just said I was like the head of finance for a startup gym, and like I chose not to name the company because I didn't know if they were comfortable with that too. So like I basically just didn't want to. I was like, CYA, cover my ass. Like, I don't want to get in trouble at work, right?
Yeah.
I am super passionate about mental health and fitness, and I think I try to show that a lot on my Instagram too. But like, I think I've actually like suffered through bipolar depression my whole life too. So like, you know, instances like this will always trigger something like that. Like, it's very, people find that very surprising because like I always come off very happy and cheery, but like, my moods go up and down, and like I fall into depression pretty easily, especially when something happens to me like that's traumatic. So like something like what happened in the show, like that's really took a toll on my health. And you know, like I'm just like advocating. I want to advocate for people that feel the same way, and it's like it's okay to talk about it. And I mean, I think that people are a lot more now, especially after the pandemic. And like fitness has always been a passion of mine too, ever since college. And like I think I love it so much. It's because that's the only time I really feel in control of my whole day. It's like, you know, when you're working, when you're hanging out with other people, like you're always kind of like doing things to cater towards someone else or like for someone or for something else. But the only time I have to that I'm in full control is like when I'm working out. And like now I go for like runs, like 14-mile runs 4 times a week. You know, and like people are like, how can you go for so long? Why do you do it for so long? And like I have really bad knees too, and like it doesn't matter, but I just like the endorphin release I get off that, and like the high I feel is like no other. Oh, I also love Bollywood dancing. Like that's a huge passion.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
14 miles 4 times a week. Is that what you said?
So I'll try to do 50 miles a week. So
50 miles a week, a whole week. Okay, got it.
So I'll always do 14, and I have no idea why. I must be like very OCD about this, but like it has to be 50 miles, and one of them has to be a half marathon at the minimum. So like I have like a streak of how many weeks I've done at least a half marathon, and it's like every week since the pandemic started. And like I don't know who I'm competing with. I'm competing with myself, and like I just want to keep the streak going. But I usually just do 14 3 times a week, and then I'll do like 8 miles the day. So like that's the short run for me.
Oh,
wow.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So it's like I was gonna say you're in a perpetual state of training for a marathon. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, right. I've actually done 3 marathons too.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I have a question as a fellow runner. So I actually, when I started running, when I lose a lot of weight, and I used to run a lot, but then I stopped because of how thin I was getting. And again, I can't eat too much to make up for all the weight that I'm losing. What's your strategy to deal with that? Do you lose weight as well, or like?
I mean, one, I don't mind being like skinny. Like I like losing weight. So like one, like I guess like that's the difference between it. But also, I have a never-ending appetite, so I can eat like 5,000 to 7,000 calories easily a day, and once something's open in front of me, like I just don't stop. So like I have to like I said, being vegan actually helped me because it gave me limitations.
That is amazing.
5,000 to 7,000. That is a lot.
I'm burning so much too, right? So it's like like a catch-22. It's like I'm burning all this stuff, and then I'm eating all this stuff. So like I do have to find a balance, and I'm not. And like all I'm doing is being very extreme about everything I do right now.
No, that's actually a benefit of being a runner, right? You can eat not whatever, but you can eat as much as you want, and you still be fine.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Because I just think about it, like, oh, I'm eating all this crap tonight. Like I'm eating like. I open a bag of chips, I'm eating the whole thing. Like I warm something up, and like it's like 5 servings, and I warm up the whole thing, thinking I'm gonna eat it over a course of a few days, and I just sit there in front of the TV and I'm eating it all.
Amazing. Well, I want to touch upon one more thing, which I actually noticed on your Instagram page as well. Tattoos. I noticed you posted a lot of pictures of tattoos.
Right.
So just talk to us a little bit more about that. How did you get into it? What kind of tattoos do you like?
So now I actually I don't know if you can see this. This is like I just got this one yesterday.
Ooh.
I saw that. I saw the Instagram post. Yeah, there was a story behind it. I forgot the story, but there's some story behind it too.
Yeah, it's like the triangle in general is like a very aesthetically pleasing thing. It's like it means good luck. It means a lot in a lot of different cultures, and like the one I was trying to take was like I was trying to do a play on like the infinity triangle, which is like, impossible for a geometric shape. So it's like creating something possible out of the impossible. And it's supposed to like be like almost like your life, afterlife, and like give you like strength and stuff. So like and the number 3 is a really auspicious number. I guess that's like a word that I want to use. But like the problem what I had was that I didn't want to do the number 13th. I have 12 tattoos before this.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, and like I try to keep them kind of inconspicuous. So you really, like, if I'm wearing like a shirt or at work, you really can't notice, right? It's like that's like the idea behind it. And then I just didn't want to do 13 because I'm really superstitious, and I didn't want to get a 13th tattoo for bad luck. So I asked my tattoo artist I went to like Mohan's Tattooing, which is like right here on 14th Street, and I was like, can you just do a tiny dot somewhere else too? So like, say I have 14 tattoos. That's why I call that the Phoebe from like Friends. And like I don't know if you guys watch Friends or not, but when she was too afraid to get the tattoo, so she said it was like the Earth from like a really far place, like where her mom.
I remember that.
So I have right here like an arm tiny. He just did a tiny dot here, so like I can say I have 14 tattoos now.
Wow. Okay.
That is awesome. That is awesome. What's been your most favorite one so far?
Like I shared right here, like this lotus one is like my favorite one. I love the meaning behind the lotus flower, the whole rebirth story. It's very prominent in our culture and religion as well. So I really enjoy that one a lot. This other one here, these numbers 453. That's my second favorite one, and that was also just like an add-on that I added at the last second. And I said I want these 3 numbers there, and they just didn't even charge me. And the reason behind this is actually the birthdays of my niece and nephew. So my nephew's birthday is April 5th, and my niece's is May 3rd. So like it's a 453. So it's kind of like my own thing for them. But now I just told the whole world. So
that is fascinating. Fascinating.
Yeah. All right. I think we can, unless there's any other questions, Deepam, I think we can move into the next segment of this podcast, which would be a rapid fire round.
All right.
So the rapid fire round is basically going to be like a series of questions, and you just want to say like the first thing that comes to mind.
All right.
Are you ready for that?
Yeah, I'm ready. It's like lightning round.
Exactly.
I'm like getting ready. I'm very competitive too. So like I'm like in my game mode now.
Vinay, so tea or coffee?
Coffee.
All right. Mountains or beaches?
Mountains.
Interesting. Morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
So looks like a theme, Keto, as we've been.
Everyone has been saying night owl. It's like I feel like 9 out of 10 people say night owl. So I think it's a generational thing.
Yeah.
What's your favorite comfort food?
French fries.
I love that.
Without the ketchup. Without the ketchup.
Yes.
Without the ketchup. Love that.
Yeah, I remember that from the show.
Yeah.
That the first date scene is like, I think that's the first thing that you guys bonded over, right? The fact that both of you didn't like it without ketchup.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't even know why I was saying that. Like as I was saying it, I'm just like, what the fuck am I saying right now? Like it's like word vomit. I was like, why am I telling this random girl that I hate ketchup and I can't stand it? And then sure enough, she hated it too. So we bonded over that.
That is absolutely fascinating. What's your favorite virtue in others?
Empathy.
Okay. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Tardiness.
Interesting. What's your secret superpower?
I think I have a really strong will to continue when I'm really tired. Like I guess like more so like in like workouts, like I could be like exhausted, but that mental willpower to push forward will always get me through anything.
All right. So you mean like infatigability, basically?
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, that makes sense because you also run so much. It's like I can imagine.
And I'm constantly injured too. Like I have arthritis in my knee. I'm like, there are days where I run the 14 miles, I ride a Peloton, I do an elliptical, and then I do a class at night too.
Oh wow!
Wow. Okay.
I mean, those are more like weekend days, right? Like when I'm not like that's like
course.
It's like 7 hours of workouts in a day. Like by that last class, I'm like exhausted. But like something about the competitiveness in me, like when I'm in a class, like I can just push through for that class.
Okay.
That is really a superpower, actually.
Yeah.
That's definitely a superpower.
I don't know if it's a good thing about it. I think it's overly competitive. That's what drives it.
Yeah.
Got it. What's been your biggest accomplishment in last 1 year, 1 or 2 years?
I actually just recently got my certified personal training license too. So I'm just trying to like build that on the side as a kind of like a side hustle as well. It's something I've always wanted. And then like in March, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it and study for it. And then I forgot how hard it was to study, to be honest. Like, it doesn't matter what you're studying for. I was like, how did I go to school?
So what's your plan afterwards? Are you planning to start some personal training sessions as well or something like that? Or like
I want to just start them like on the side too. And like, I would like to do more group fitness thing. I think that's kind of where my passion lies more. And in terms of different, like I work out in so many different styles. I do like bar, I do like Bollywood dance workouts, I do strength training, I do HIIT. So I would love to be able to combine all those things in terms of like teaching different types of classes.
Okay, that is fascinating. And actually, this is going to be a plug for a future episode. But basically, we are doing a recording session with a fitness influencer actually in a handful of episodes for now.
Oh, nice.
So his name is on Instagram is @coach.samtuli. So he's a pretty big fitness guy. He actually has a gym franchise himself. So he actually has a gym franchise called Alpha Fit Club. And so it's pretty big in this general area. So right now there's 3 physical locations in New Jersey, but they're actually now implementing a franchisee concept. So there's about 20 franchises that are going to be opening up across the East Coast in New York, Connecticut, Florida, etc.
Yeah.
So if you want, I could get you in touch if that's something you eventually want to get into.
Yeah, I would love that. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. All right. So I'll connect you guys afterwards then.
Sounds great.
Awesome. And we just to plug one more of our guests. So we actually did a recording with a group called Bhangra Empire, and they
I know them. Yeah.
You know them? Okay. So we actually interviewed them last week, a couple of weeks ago. The episode is going to be dropping just before the Labor Day weekend, and we did talk about combining fitness with Bhangra and the dance form. So we'll definitely be happy to connect you with them as well in case you're thinking about it in the future. So
yeah, like I before the pandemic, I used to do Bali X all the time, and I used to do like Masala Bhangra. Like actually, Masala Bhangra I did like back in like 2000. I had like cassette tapes for it, and like like people give it a hard time. I would give it a bad rep a lot of times. It's like, oh, this isn't real Bhangra, but I was just like, it's not meant to be. It's meant to be like aerobics, right? And like with combining some sort of thing, and like. Same with Bali X. I was just really close with like the co-founder and one of the instructors, and like that was like the highlight of my Tuesday nights. I would go to that class every single Tuesday night. Actually, that's the workout I did when I had the heat exhaustion and missed the date because we talked. They asked me to like help not co-teach, but like be on the front with them because they were doing an outdoor class in front of Herald Square, and that day it was 95 degrees, and obviously I went all out and I just like gave it my all, and then basically. I got heat exhaustion the next morning. And
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I did want to do a plug for Vinay because I realized we haven't done this already. But if you guys want to learn more about Vinay, learn about the story behind his tattoo, his story about his time on the show, etc., definitely give him a follow on Instagram. So I believe it's at Chadha for the Vin with a V. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, if you enjoyed this episode, show Vinay your support and give him a follow on Instagram.
Appreciate that too.
Excellent. Are there any other platforms you wanted to plug there, Vinay?
Nah, I'm on Twitter a little bit, but I just kind of like I don't really post on Twitter. It's more just for like news and following other things too, and basically for like defending my friends that are on season 2 when people give them bad comments.
Who are you friends with right now? Do you guys hang out often?
Yeah, well, I'm really tight with a partner too. I listened to her book. I mean, I was gonna say read her book, but I got the audio book and I listened to it while running. She actually dictates it, which is pretty cool. It resonated really well for me. I found it really relatable for me. Like you learn about her past and why she is the way she is, which is amazing to me. And Manisha from season 1, she was the one that dated Vyasar. She's like my sister, so we're really really tight. And then Jay and Vishal from season 1 and 2, we're in like this big huge NYC crew. And and over the last few months, I gotten really really close with Sheetal as well from season 2.
Oh, we're bringing her on too, by the way.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and well, Vishal, we've already had on. We did the recording. It's gonna be the episode that's releasing this weekend. So, so we're gonna bring on Vishal. We're bringing on Sheetal.
I was close with Ravi too. He was the one that was our first date. He also got kind of like a bad rep and a bad edit for it, but he's just like he's just like a super smart, super passionate guy about what he loves to do. So like, shout out to him too for like getting a bad edit but still being a great person.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So, Vinay, we are actually reaching towards the end of our discussion. Sure. Just a couple of questions to go. So, before we wrap, what is next for you when it comes to fitness, when it comes to your work, and so on?
Honestly, I don't really know where the world is going to take me from now. Like, I would love to be on something again, just because, like I said to you, like, I feel like I have a lot to share and a lot to give, and I really want to, in the most simplest terms, like I want to change the world in some way. Like I want to have an effect on this world. I want to have an effect on people. I think that's where my passion really lies. Like, I mean, I love working with kids in general, and that the reason I love that is because I think that you affect the youth, you can change the world, right? So like I think that I wish I could have a platform and be someone that people kind of look to follow and like share messages and be there for people that need any support in what I'm good at. So I really just hope for something great for the future. I don't know how or when that will happen, which is more or less the reason why I always say, like, when I do reality TV again, I say yes, because I want to share my story. I want to be someone that's influential to people in a positive way.
Great.
Okay, fantastic. And so it sounds like you want to do some types of media appearances in the future as well to share your story and your
Yeah, I mean, it
leverage
doesn't
your
necessarily
platform.
have to be media appearances, but I just wanted to have, like, I think I was brought on this world to help people in some way, shape, or form, and have an effect on their lives. And like, I really take a lot of passion and pride in when I do that, even if it's like, like with your friends, like, it means a lot to me to like share wisdom or help them in some way. Like, I selfishly get a lot of happiness out of that.
Okay, awesome. That's fantastic. Great to hear.
Great. All right. So, Vinay, last question before we wrap.
Sure.
What's one or two pieces of recommendations you have for our listeners? And a recommendation could be like a book or a movie or a TV show that you recently watched.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, like, let's see. Okay, well, watch the Knicks. They may suck right now, but be a fan. Come with me to games. I have a partial season ticket package. That's something I want more fans of. I really do love that. But like, my message to anybody would be like, don't be scared to be who you are. And I spent way too much of my life being scared of being myself and like trying to conform to society. And I just wish that someone told me and guided me to be happy with who you are and be open with who you are, because you're only hurting yourself in the end.
Okay, well, that's great advice. Thank you for sharing that. All right, well then, I believe that's a wrap, everyone. So if you guys are not already connected to the Your Life Unfiltered podcast, please feel to check out our episode on Spotify, Amazon Music, or Google Podcasts. You can also give the page a follow on Instagram. It's at Your Life Unfiltered. Again, thank you, Vinay, so much for joining. I want to plug you one more time. So if you guys are not already following Vinay, please do so. That's at Chadha for the win. That's at CHADHAFORTHEVIN.
Yep.
Thanks, and I hope
Play
everyone.
on for the win. If you guys can't figure that out.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you all for tuning in. Take care.
Thank you.